could all relate to the story of loss, of grieving, of figuring out who we are and who we want to be.
Our brother is dead, and it's because of that monster.
I don't blame the bear, Kenai.
Everything about this story is about just understanding things from the other side.
Those monsters are really scary, especially with those sticks.
All of us have to step into and deliberately choose who we're going to be, what values we're going to live by, what virtues we're going to espouse. And you can't hold a virtue while denigrating it. You have to honor it. If you're going to heal, and if you're going to experience connection and peace and love and all these wonderful things that we live for, you've got to take that risk of feeling the pain again.
I'm sorry, Coda. I'm so sorry.
And that's what Coda represents for Kenai to start caring again.
No matter what you choose, he'll always be my little brother.
That perspective taking changes you irrevocably, and that's beautiful.
Welcome everyone to Cinema Therapy. I am Alan Seawright, a professional filmmaker who needs therapy. I'm joined as always,
Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist who loves movies, and we've got a very special guest.
extremely special guest. We have the director of Brother Bear, the movie we're talking about, Aaron Blaise.
How cool.
Welcome to the
guys?
show, Aaron.
It's very nice to be here. I was one of the co-directors of Brother Bear, but I've also worked on Beauty and the Beast and The Rescuers Down Under, The Lion King, Pocahontas and Mulan, all kinds of fun stuff through the 90s.
So you came up as an animator, yes?
I did.
Through the Renaissance period?
I interned really in 1988 and was hired for the studio in Florida that opened in 1989.
Oh,
and,
were you on the tour?
I was on the tour. We had 10,000 people a day come through watching us draw. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Oh, man. That was such a wild experiment. Like, so cool and yet so Disney.
And Brother Bear has so many fans. We cannot tell you how many comments we've gotten. Do Brother Bear, do Brother Bear.
For years, people have been asking for this.
So what are we exploring today in Brother Bear?
Today we're mainly looking at Kenai and his growth and journey towards becoming a true bear. Not just faking it.
And I don't think any of us especially relate to the literal story of becoming a bear, but we could all relate to the story of loss, of grieving, of figuring out who we are and who we want to be, and what role virtue has in our life, right? And by virtue, I mean, what are our values? What do we stand for? What do we live our lives by? I think that is universal, and that is what speaks to people about Brother Bear.
Kenai, I have been to the mountain where the lights touch the earth, and the great spirits have revealed to me your totem. To become a man, your actions must be guided by one thing. Your totem is love.
What?
Yes, love.
The bear of love?
A love that connects and unites all living things.
Who wants to trade?
There is no trading. Kenai. Love is the most precious of totems. It reveals itself in unexpected ways. Let love guide your actions. Then one day you'll be a man and will place your mark next to those of our ancestors.
So this touches one of my favorite themes in storytelling as a man, which is valuing strength and bravado and courage and force, and that those things can be good things, can be necessary things for the survival of a tribe or a family or a society. But a character like that, who sees love as just like mushy, gooey kid stuff that's stupid, and realizing that, oh no, that's actually far more powerful than my spear. That's far more powerful than anything else that I've got going on.
Right, that was obviously the intent. I mean, we want to establish Kenai in this beginning place to where he has to arc over and come to understand by the end of the film, obviously, you know, this totem of love and what it meant and understanding and being able to walk in another's shoes and all of that. From his young eyes, he's the youngest brother. You know, he's trying to prove himself to his older brothers, just like young brothers try to do, and they're valuing strength and bravado and everything else, like he said, and not realizing that the strongest aspect of them as an adult and as a man is this idea of understanding and love and nurturing.
So the thing about love is it sounds so hokey and cheesy until you actually look at it at a practical level, and it's like, oh no, this is everything.
This is actually a superpower.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by PDS Debt.
PDS Debt rolls all of your payments into one low monthly payment.
So choice. I really could have used this when I was fresh out of school, paying off debts, racking up the credit cards, not making any sweet cheddar. If you're fresh out of school as a therapist, it's not pretty.
You were there for my horrifying destruction of my credit score.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to get a credit score as low as mine was.
A lot of ramen.
You remember the 2 weeks when I only ate when you brought me a burrito?
Yes, and I would bring you these giant burritos that would feed you for a day. Yeah.
He missed a day once.
Because you sassed me.
Fair. I'm grateful you were there for me, buddy, but I wish PDS Debt had been there. That would have been better.
PDS Debt has customized options for anyone struggling with credit cards, personal loans, collections, or medical bills.
And the best part, it's interest-free. So you can save thousands of dollars in interest and fees and pay off your debts in a fraction of the time.
Anyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there's no minimum credit score required, which really would have helped this guy.
Boy, would it have. PDS Debt is offering a free debt analysis. It only takes 30 seconds. You should do it. Probably right now.
Head over to pdsdebt.com/cinema to get your free debt assessment today.
It's so fun doing this show with you guys because, being therapists and all that, we always joked about when we would write these stories, and we're all brothers. You know, myself, Bob Walker, who's our co-director, he was one of several brothers, and Chuck, our producer, was one of several brothers. And these sessions, when we would write these, were our therapy sessions. We'd be crying half the time writing this stuff, and diving into some of these stories with our older brothers and younger brothers and all of that. It's really therapeutic to write these stories. It was really cool.
The secret is, we introduce ourselves, and I'm the filmmaker who needs therapy. The secret is all filmmakers need therapy.
Exactly.
Come here, lover boy.
Leave me alone.
Oh, Kenai, wait. I'm sorry.
What?
Your totem, I think it's really great.
You do?
Yeah, then I made you something.
Really?
Now when you skip around loving everybody, you'll smell so sweet. Well, isn't this nice? Instead of fighting, you're giving each other flowers.
That pose that Kenai has with his head down is so strong of just like little brother.
Go take care of the fish. Sure. Kenai loves me, he loves me not. Kenai loves me, he loves me not. Kenai loves me.
Clearly written by people with brothers.
He's just such a...
Hey, Bonehead, just because his totem is wisdom doesn't mean he's wise. I mean, look at him. He loves me, he loves me not. Hey, whoa! Oh, hi.
Yeah. I guess the spirit's messed up on both of our totems.
You know, I felt the same way when Tanana gave me mine.
Get out of here.
No, really. I said, the eagle of guidance? What does that mean? But now that I'm older, I know it's about being a leader and keeping an eye on you two.
I love seeing these old clips. This is great.
Obvious, a lot of love between all three brothers.
Yeah.
Plays out in different ways.
Smacks upside the head. When you talk about writing this, all of you had brothers. You
can tell.
Oh man.
Oh
It's
yeah.
that very energy.
Yeah, I have an older brother. You've got an older brother. This very much rang true to my experience.
Right. It was also trying to establish that it wasn't just Kenai that had an arc to go into. You know, Denahi had a big arc to learn, and Sitka was kind of there already, but he hadn't fulfilled his journey yet.
And so all of us have to step into and deliberately choose who we're going to be, what values we're going to live by, what virtues we're going to espouse. And you can't hold a virtue while denigrating it. You have to honor it.
Right.
And at least Denahi and Kenai, neither of them honor those.
They're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ready?
For what?
We're going after the bear.
I know what you're feeling, but but killing that bear is wrong.
Wrong? Our brother is dead, and it's because of that monster.
I don't blame the bear, Kenai.
I blame you. But it's not even said, doesn't need to be.
I see. Killing that bear won't make you a man.
Oh, now you're trying to be wise.
I'm trying to follow my totem. Why can't you do the same?
You really think love has anything to do with being a man? A man wouldn't just sit here and do nothing.
Kenai! Don't upset the spirits.
Spirits. Thanks for your wisdom.
She's got such a beautifully expressive face. Anytime she's on screen,
I got to tell you, from a writing standpoint, that scene was one of the hardest scenes to write, and I think we wrote it and rewrote it probably 6 or 7 times before we got that version that ended up in the film, because there was so many different things we needed to hit, and hit in a way that we weren't pounding it on the head, but making it clear, and there were so many things that we wanted to get across in there. And it was such a pivotal point for Denahi, too, because this is a point where he's trying so hard to walk the line and do the right thing. And he's right on the edge because he's just lost a brother, and Kenai's obviously, off on his own. Yeah, it was a really difficult scene to write. It took us quite a while.
Well, and Denahi's gone from being the middle brother to the older brother because of the loss of their sibling. And you could see him trying to step into that role, but he's like a baby deer, you know, like
he doesn't know what he's doing yet. Yeah. He's fumbly.
No, a lot of it is trying to think about what Sitka would do and just trying to toe the line, but he can only hold it together for so long, as we know.
To your story about having to rewrite that so many times, you guys nailed it. It's a beautiful scene. There's a lot of subtle stuff going on that still comes across, and that's the trick with filmmaking, right? Is make it subtle so it's not in your face, but understandable so it's not so subtle that
people lose it.
Like every Terrence Malick film. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Why are we back to Terrence Malick?
Well, the other thing too, from a writing standpoint, then you get together with the actors, and Joaquin Phoenix is such a great actor, and it's hard to get him rolling. It takes a while for him to understand and get into the role. But one of the things that really struck home is he had just lost his brother not too long before we recorded these scenes. And he really dug deep. And especially when Sitka goes down in the glacier right before the scene that we just watched, it was really, really difficult for him. It was a hell of an experience working with him, seeing him dig as deep as he did. It was something else.
Alan has said so much of acting is just allowing people to see, feeling a real emotion and allowing the audience to see it, and it's an act of courage.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the next time we run into that hunter...
There is no we, okay? I'm not taking you to any salmon run.
What? But you pinky swore.
Yeah, well, things change. See ya, kid.
Wait, The truth is, I got separated from my mom. And now, with this hunter around...
Kid, I got my own problems.
Come on, please.
So, Kenai not stepping into being a brother yet.
No, well, and he's got
an older brother.
He's been a little brother, and now he's got an opportunity to be a big brother and to be a leader and to practice what that actually means, which is to love somebody and to look out for them. And when he says, I've got my own problems, and I honestly think he's more bitter and unwilling to help now than when the film started. But now he's just like, screw this, screw life, screw everything, screw the spirits. And this I do see in therapy where people, they feel like their losses have piled up to the point where caring means I hurt, so I just don't care anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what Coda represents, at least as I'm watching this, is for Kenai to start caring again, and he's unwilling because he doesn't want to feel that pain anymore. And that's an essential part of moving through grief is if you're going to heal and if you're going to experience connection and peace and love and all these wonderful things that we live for, you've got to take that risk of feeling the pain again.
You do.
And that's a process.
We try to get that honesty into our story writing, and the more you've experienced in life, love, loss, everything else, the better you can write. I lost my wife soon after the movie came out, and going through all of that, I lost her to cancer, and going through all of those steps of grief, and everything that everyone's always talked about is so true and it's so real, and it really applied to the stories that I write now. They're horrible to go through, but the upside is the ability to write honestly and from the heart and everything else.
Well, and the empathy that you gain for other people.
Yeah. That was a real pivotal sequence as well from a storytelling standpoint and a structure standpoint, because it's the first time Kenai, he starts to arc. He starts to see things very subtly from the other side when he goes, why is he hunting me? That's my brother. Why? He's starting to see the viewpoint of the bear, a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's not ready to take responsibility for this annoying kid. And it's not until the kid reveals that he knows where the earth touches the lights that he's like, okay, I need this kid, which bonds them together.
Yeah.
So that's how we did it.
There's plenty of therapy in this episode, but do you want more cinema?
We are storyboarding the entire script, but we'll watch that movie in its entirety before we make it.
Go even more in depth into the filmmaking of Brother Bear with co-director Aaron Blaise on our Patreon. The extended director's cut of this episode has an additional 25 minutes of material where you'll learn nuggets like this.
Our process at Disney was to storyboard it 3 times before we would put anything into production.
What do you mean?
My brother's a spirit. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here.
You have a brother up there? What happened to him?
He was killed by a monster.
What's your mother's name?
Sitka?
Thanks, Sitka. If it weren't for you, I would have never met Kenai. I always wanted a brother.
And Sitka.
And there's Sitka, yeah.
There's Sitka. Some great multi-plane photography, and oh look, we did have a little CG in there.
Grand Tetons. So much of the movie, so much of the story thematically is about obviously seeing through another's eyes and seeing the parallels in the way, understanding your enemy. And so your enemy isn't your enemy anymore. Everything about this story is about just understanding things from the other side. And that sequence is a huge example of that.
It's one of the greatest truisms that I've learned in my field is that everyone's behavior makes sense to them.
Yep.
So when you're interacting with somebody and they seem like they're being a jerk or an idiot or crazy, take a little bit of time to understand where they're coming from. What's the perspective? And it does not mean that you will agree with or condone, but generally speaking, it helps you to connect with them as a human. And what I tell people is, even if what they think or say or do still doesn't make sense when you try and get to the bottom of it, get to what they're feeling.
Right.
Because we can disagree on thoughts and words and behaviors, but there's only a handful of emotions and we all feel them. So when Kenai sees that Kota wants to belong and wants a brother, and he thinks of how much he misses his brother, and when he says, well, he was killed by a bear, by a monster, and Kota sees humans as the monsters. They're the hunters. They're the scary ones. Yep. To see that as, oh, we're not that different after all. We're just coming at it from our own experience. And I'm not saying you can get along with anybody. I am saying that there are people that you think that you would never relate to, that when you do some perspective taking, sometimes they're your very best friends. And at the very least, sometimes you go from, well, we hated each other's guts to, we're going to coexist. We may give each other space, but we're going to coexist. Go to ctpopcorn.com, get your internet dad's popcorn. This is peanut butter and chocolate, and I've never been happier about anything in my life.
This is upsettingly good popcorn. Our producer's over here, and she's asking if we addressed how Kenai sees himself as a monster in that scene. He pauses and says a monster and then sort of leans into it like he's seeing himself that way, and not just because he's a bear.
The next scene after this is when he sees that. So they get off the mammoths and they end up at the cave with all the cave drawings. That's a huge pivotal scene because that's the shot where, we see the paintings on the wall of the hunter and the bear. And you can see Kenai's looking, he's looking at the bear and he's angry. And Kota comes up next to him and he goes, yeah, those monsters are really scary, especially with those sticks. And all of a sudden it's like, what? And Kenai's taken aback because he realizes as a human he's the monster, and that was the first time he really kind of got that sense, is when Kota says that.
Something you know that story you told me last night?
Yeah.
Well, I have a story to tell you.
Really? What's it about?
Well, it's kind of about a man and kind of about a bear, but mostly it's about a monster.
So he comes clean.
He says mostly it's about a monster.
In classic filmmaking fashion, we're going to rotate around our character to show that they're changing.
I do anything within my power.
Were there a lot of discussions about, should we do this as a montage or should we just have a dialogue scene? Like, how did you guys land on where you landed for this?
Well, I'll tell you, this one specifically holds a lot of. It went through a lot. So we wrote this sequence, and it originally was him confessing and just spilling his guts to Kota, and we played it straight, no music, and it was so heart-wrenchingly horrible to Kota.
Yeah.
And we wanted to find a way to keep the emotion but soften it a little bit, make it a little bit more artistic, because it was just so in your face and on your sleeve,
Yeah, I feel
Yeah, and so I remember sitting there with the guys and we were just brainstorming, and I said, hey, I've got an idea, and I started drawing, and I drew this series of drawings with the camera rotating around the whole thing, and we said, why don't we do it in song? Phil's been because Phil wrote all the music and he wasn't really singing many of the songs, and we said let's get Phil to sing this part. We'll do it all in song, and we'll cut in and out to the key moments of the conversation. We don't have to have the whole conversation, and we'll just do this kind of cross dissolve between the close-ups. And like I said, I drew this rotating shot around the characters, and Bob and Chuck liked it, and so I went back to my office and storyboarded that whole sequence and cut it into the reel, and that's how we ended up with what we have here. It was cool, and I think it turned out to be even more emotional than playing it straight.
Well, and there is no growth and there is no healing without accountability. I love how he's animated that he can't even look at Kota.
Yeah.
And when he looks at him, it's only for a second here or there. There's just such a deep well of shame there.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is he knows that he may lose Kota forever.
Yeah.
But he also knows that he can't keep lying to him.
Right.
And that's true in real life. Sometimes we lose people when we tell the truth, but it's also the only way that we bring peace. And there's informed consent in the relationship.
Yeah, if there's a choice between you may lose someone or you definitely will through continued lying, there's only one real option.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We start our journey towards healing with accountability and honesty. And until then, we're going to stay stuck. And so, like you're saying, it's the dark night of the soul. It's a necessary part of storytelling. It's necessary in life as well. And this is where he starts to pivot towards something better.
Sitka?
Still an older brother.
That's where the rub comes in.
Yeah, the power of great animation. We're getting everything we need from Kota just from animation and bear grunts.
He needs me. He did look better as a bear.
But Denahi.
It's all right, Kenai. no matter what you choose, you'll always be my little brother.
So here they are. Wisdom and love.
Yes.
And stepping into it that it's not cheesy or unmanly. And this hug becomes an actual bear hug, which is hilarious to me.
Exactly.
In a Disney animated film with a magical transformation? What? Just your classic bear, spirit, and brother hug. Like we've all done 100
We've all
times.
seen it 100 times, yes.
Talk to me a little bit about the magical transformation. Like, by this point, just in the last, 10, 12 years when you're making this film, you guys have done, 20 of these?
Yes, the transformation's important, but it's really it's not as important as the rest of the story. So we made the transformation part kind of quick and just wanted to get through it. Obviously, the most magical, biggest transformation is in the beginning when he turns from bear the first time. That's the big one. The spirit's coming down. You got to teach you a lesson. It's the big launch into Act 2. But yeah, it was just, we basically just let the animators do what they wanted to do with it, and it was a nice surprise to see what we got out of it. But the thing that, about Kenai staying a bear, learning his lesson so well that he decides to stay a bear, that was something that we had from the very beginning.
That perspective taking changes you irrevocably.
Yeah.
In a positive way, right? That we can't really go back, and he doesn't want to. He wants to stay in this form. Like you're saying, it's symbolic of I've changed and I'm staying this way. I have come to love my enemy, and that's beautiful.
Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Thank you so much for all the work that you and your whole team, your co-director and co-writers and everybody on, I assume it was a huge team, hundreds of people working on this.
Yeah, we had about 360 people on that team, so it was a huge team, and I was on the project for 6 years. I was the first one on and the last one off, and it was an incredible journey, of growth and learning and all kinds of stuff. So it was pretty amazing.
I will just say, well worth it, man. Like, thank you so much. This.
Well, thank you.
Was I'm sad that I missed it when it first came around. I'm glad that I got to see it now, and I know it's meant a lot for a lot of people. So,
and if you're watching and you haven't seen Brother Bear, well, you know what you're doing this weekend.
Right? Go watch it.
Aaron, where can people find you, and what are you up to now?
Okay, so believe it or not, so that was Brother Bear we just watched. I'm in the middle of making my own short film called Snow Bear. Completely coincidental, but it is about a polar bear living in the Arctic all by himself, lonely, and he can't find any friends. He tries so hard to make friends, but he can't do it. So out of desperation, he makes a snow bear, and it's kind of him having this relationship with a snow bear, and it's cute and fun. And so I'm in the middle of making that right now with Nick and some more of our crew. And you can go to creatureartteacher.com. That's our website. I left Disney about 13 years ago and went independent, making my own films, and we're teaching. So we go around the world and lecture, and we create tutorials on animation, digital art, traditional art, all kinds of stuff. But all that is at creatureartteacher.com.
So until next time.
Crusty tail.
Twig legs.
Big nose.
Oh, jeez. You took it too far that time.
And watch movies.
So sorry.
Oh, so sorry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Oh, gee, brother.
I love you.
Didn't mean it, eh?
We want to thank our patrons for blah, 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 blah.
That's what we want to thank them for.
We want to thank our patrons over on our Patreon, folks that support the channel, including Cedric De Palma Marchand,
Amy Taylor,
Fireflare,
Steven
Spider-Man. What the hell?
I don't know.
Okay.
Did you fire with spider webs?
I meant like Mario throwing balls. Anyway.
Stephen Kabir.
And Smidge.
Smidge. Hi, Smidge.
We know Smidge. Smidge is our friend.
Smidge is great.
Thanks for supporting our channel, and head over to the Patreon for more bonus exclusive content.
And Smidge.